$47,000, that's what my last client paid their architect for a 3,200 square foot custom home. And honestly, they got a pretty good deal. But here's what nobody tells you. That $47,000 was just the design fee. By the time we factored in engineering, revisions, and permit drawings, the total cost was actually $68,000. So if you're about to build a custom home and you're wondering what an architect actually costs, I'm gonna break down the numbers for you, what you get for that money, and what the architect's typical pricing structures are to help you understand everything before you sign anything. I'm Aaron. I've estimated, designed, and managed over $60 million in custom home builds, and I help homeowners navigate this process without getting ripped off. Let's go. The three typical pricing models of architects. So architects charge in three different ways, and which one your architect uses will dramatically affect the cost. Model number one, the percentage of construction cost. This is the most common. The architect charges 8 to 15% of your total construction budget. So if you're building a $2 million home and your architect charges 10%, you're paying $200,000 for architectural services. Now, here's the problem with this model. It incentivizes the architect to make your home more expensive. The bigger your budget, the more they make. Now, I'm not saying the architects are trying to screw you over, but the incentive structure is misaligned. They get paid more if your kitchen has a vaulted ceiling and imported tile, even if you don't need that. Model 2, fixed fee. This is where the architect says, I'll design your home for $75,000 period. I like this model because everyone knows exactly what they're getting up front. No surprises. The client gets cost certainty. But here's the catch. If you make a ton of design changes, the architect will charge you for revisions. So that $75,000 can become $90,000 if you keep changing your mind about the layout. Model number 3, hourly rate. Some architects charge $150 to $400 an hour. This is rare for full home designs, but common for consultations or smaller projects or renovations. The problem, you have no idea what your final cost will be. No cost certainty. It could be $50,000, could be $120,000. You're flying blind. So what do you actually get for that money? Okay, so let's say you hire an architect for $68,000. What are you actually paying for? Phase 1 is called schematic design, and this is where the architect creates the basic layout and concept. You'll get rough floor plans, maybe some 3D renderings, and some general sense of what your home will look like. And this phase usually takes about 4 to 8 weeks. Phase 2, design development. Now, the architect starts to refine the design. They'll work on the structural details, the materials, specify mechanical systems. And this is where you're making 1,000 decisions. You're making decisions about windows, doors, ceiling heights, finishes, everything. This phase takes another 6 to 10 weeks. Phase 3, construction documents. This is the big one. The architect creates a huge set of detailed drawings and specifications that the builder will use to construct the house. We're talking about 10, 20, 30, 40 pages of technical drawings, foundation plans, framing plans, electrical plans, plumbing plans, elevations, sections, details. This is also what you're going to submit to the city for permits. This phase takes between 8 to 16 weeks depending on the complexity. Phase 4 is bidding and negotiation. Now, depending on your contract, sometimes the architect will help you review bids from builders and answer technical questions during the bidding process. It's really helpful, but you pay for it. Stage 5 is construction administration. Now, once construction starts, the architect does periodic site visits to make sure the builder's following the plans. They'll also review shop drawings and answer questions that come up during construction. Some architects are heavily involved here and others barely show up, so make sure you clarify this up front. And what's not included? This is where people get surprised. Here's what $68,000 does not cover. Structural engineering. This could be between $5,000 and $15,000. Your architect designs the home, but a structural engineer has to design the foundation, beams, the structural system. This is usually a separate fee. Mechanical MEP engineering, and that stands for mechanical, electrical, plumbing. For complex homes, you might need an engineer to design your HVAC system, maybe your electrical system or your plumbing system. Sometimes the architect includes this and sometimes they don't, so you've got to watch out. Geotechnical report, this can be $2,000 to $5,000. Before you design the foundation, you need a soil test to understand what kind of material you're building on. A topographical survey, $2,000 to $5,000 again. Your architect needs an accurate survey of your land to design the home properly. Maybe you need a landscape architect. If you want a designed outdoor space, that's going to be a separate cost as well. Interior design. Architects typically design the space and interiors make it beautiful. Interior designers rather make it beautiful. Most architects aren't interior designers. So that $68,000 can kind of quickly become $100,000 or more if you add in all the consultants that you actually need. So how to know if you're getting a good deal? Here's a simple rule of thumb. For residential projects, expect to pay between 10 and 12% of your construction budget for architect and engineering combined. So if you're building a $1.5 million home, you should expect to spend around $150,000 to $180,000 for design. If an architect quotes you 15 to 18%, they're either overpriced or you have a very complex project that you're asking for. If an architect quotes you 6 to 7%, be careful. They may be cutting corners or they're going to hit you with a ton of extra fees later for revisions and things like that. So 3 questions you should ask before you hire. What's included in your fee and what's not? Get that in writing. How many revisions are included? Some architects allow 2 to 3 rounds, others charge for every change. What happens if the project goes over budget? If they're charging a percentage, they need to maybe redesign to fit in your budget at no extra charge. Do you need an architect? Now here's the truth. You don't always need an architect. You need an architect if you're building on a complex site, it's steep slope and unusual shape, challenging conditions. You want a truly custom home, one-of-a-kind design that with a particular aesthetic that you like about the architect, or you have a functional requirement that requires really, really creative problem solving. Sometimes local building codes will require stamped architectural drawings too. You might not need an architect if you're building a relatively straightforward home and you're working with a design build firm that has an in-house designer or designers. Maybe you're using a semi-custom home plan that just needs a few minor modifications. Or maybe your builder has strong design capabilities. I've seen people spend $150,000 or north on architectural fees for a home that could have been designed in-house by a different designer or design firm for $30,000. And I've seen people skip architects to save money and end up with a poorly designed home that they have to live in for 30 years. So think carefully about what it is that you need. So to recap, architects typically charge between 8 or 15% of your construction budget, or a fixed fee in the range of $50,000 to $200,000, depending on the size and complexity of your project. That fee usually covers design drawings and some construction oversight, but not structural engineering, MEP, surveys, or other consultants. So budget 10 to 12% of your total construction costs for architecture and engineering combined. Make sure that you understand exactly what's included before you sign the contract. If you're planning a new home build and you want to understand the full scope of the process and not just architecture, but budgeting, scheduling, and contractor selection, and avoiding the mistakes that cost homeowners 6 figures, I built a complete course that walks you through every step. Link is in the description. And if this video was helpful, subscribe, because I post new videos every week breaking down the custom home process so that you don't get taken advantage of. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.